Hi guys, this is Alex from Mason Lifestyle. I hope you guys are doing well. So today I'm going to teach you how to do a bicep adjustment, and I have a little giveaway, so stay with me. So as I am working on a sew along for M6696 and I'm doing view D with the long sleeves, I've told you guys many times I always have to do a bicep adjustment, right? Look at all that juiciness right there. So I always have to do a bicep adjustment. And about a couple of weeks ago, I got this company and they said, would you like to try to test out a tape measure? I'm like, tape measure? I mean, come on, we got like 10 of those around here. But they said, no, try this one, and we are going to give you a few extras for your subscribers to try out. So hang out with me. And it came in the mail, and I kind of think it's kind of nifty, right? And it is, so you kind of pull out this little tab, right? And it's got like a little locking pin, and you can just kind of press here, and it tightens up around where you need to measure yourself. And sometimes, folks, this is good for the bicep adjustment. So how do you know you need a bicep adjustment? You know, usually you can measure the pattern, and you'll have measurements there. Usually the big four patterns have measurements on your sleeve pattern, which I will show you. But if you don't, usually what you do is you measure yourself. So kind of like pick like the widest point on your bicep. And for me, this is measuring right at, and it's not tight. You don't want to make this tight, right? But it is measuring right at 15. And I thought this was kind of handy, right? Because you can just kind of put it there. And usually I have some issues with kind of like the usual tape measure, just because I can't get it or it slips. So this is kind of like a nice little nifty tool. And once you're done, you just kind of pull out the pin and pull it back. So they sent me a few extras, and tell me in the comments below, what is a tough spot for you to measure? Is it the bicep? Is it sometimes your wrist if you're doing like a sleeve cuff and you have a hard time measuring yourself right there? Is it sometimes perhaps when you're doing ankles and, you know, or you have mobility issues? Don't say your neck. Do not put this kind of stuff in your neck. But let me know in the comments below, and a week from today, and I will put the date below, I'm going to pick 4 people, and I am going to ship these to you so you can try it out. And guys, if you are not one of the 4 lucky winners, I've put a link below just so you can get it. I do earn a small commission from Reidea, which is the ones who provided these tape measures, but of course I earn a commission, but there's no additional cost to you, so I wanted to make sure that I am pretty clear about that. All right guys, let me show you on the design table how we do a bicep adjustment on our pattern piece. All right guys, so as I mentioned, I am working on the call 6696 for a sew along. So I went ahead and cut my sleeve pattern piece number 6. And I went ahead and cut size 20. And I like to live on the edge. I like to cut my patterns. So my bicep measured at 15 inches, and the size that the pattern piece is giving me is 15 3/4 inch. And guys, if you are working with a pattern that does not have the measurements like the big 4 do, which one of the reasons why I love the big 4, but if you don't have these measurements, which sometimes they're not shown, just grab your ruler and your measuring tape. And remember, I put some dark like lines over here, and that is my seam allowance. So, and obviously in all of the big 4, you have a 5/8 inch seam allowance. So one side, the other side, right? So go ahead and mark your seam allowance and then measure, right? So yeah, 15, 15 and 3/4, which, yeah, 15 inches and 3/4. So my bicep measured 15 inches, right? But guys, the minimum ease that you should have on your upper arm, on your arm, it should be between 1 to 2 inches. And I'm at 15 and 3/4. So it'll fit, but it will be tight. I don't want it to be tight. I don't want to work on a dress and then get to the sleeves and oh my God, it's going to be tight. So I'm going to go ahead and add an inch to the sleeve. So now that I know that I want to add an inch to my sleeve pattern, we are going to draw some lines. So you're probably asking yourself, where do I draw these lines? So again, make sure that you draw your seam allowance, and where those two seam allowances intersect, that is where your horizontal line is going to go. And then also you want to make sure that you put your vertical line at the top of the sleeve cap. It may not be where the pattern is telling you. So make sure that you put it at the top of the sleeve cap, because in this case, that is not at the top. It is a little bit off to the side, and you want to make sure you do it off to the top. Once you do that, and guys, if this is the first time that you're doing this, I would say perhaps trace your pattern. Trace your pattern just so you can keep it. And then what I want you to do is I want you to, I usually like to grab my my rotary cutter, and I just cut my pattern through those two lines. And you want to leave a little bit of a pivot, probably about a 1/16 of an inch, right? I'm opening that right there. And because that's my little spot where I'm going to pivot. And again, right? So I'm gonna leave myself a little bit, and just be careful that you're not going crazy and cutting away. So again, going through those two, the vertical and the horizontal line. And I'm stopping right at the seam, kind of like where that seam allowance is at. And again, I just want to leave a little bit, and I want to use that as my pivot point. Again, I'm cutting. Whoop, got too close there, but have no fear, tape is here. So just going to tape that little spot right there. Okay, now grab your sleeve, and what you want to do, and if you see I have my handy little mat, and those lines below are at an inch each one. So you are going to gingerly, and again, softly, don't go crazy, pull out your pattern piece. And again, I'm adding an inch, and you want to do that kind of like pivot on it. Okay, so I went ahead and added an inch, and if you want to measure, just grab your ruler, and there you go. I measured away, right? So usually what I like to do is I just like to grab my tape and just gingerly add this right there, and again right there. If you do more than an inch, adding right here on the bicep, your sleeve cap is going to get distorted. And in that case, what you want to do is pretty much trace again your sleeve pattern. So if, again, as I'm saying, if this is the first time you're doing it, perhaps trace it. I've done this many times, so I kind of usually know which way I'm going. But if you do more than 1 inch, you want to trace your sleeve cap, because if you do more than 1 inch, your sleeve cap's going to get distorted. It's going to get like really flat, and you really want that the top of the sleeve, and that it matches your armhole. So you're going to add that. This, I'm going to, and I usually grab some scraps of pattern paper, guys, and I just kind of add them to the top and the bottom. Get that flat. Again, and get my sleeve cap flat. And again, I put a little bit at the top, put a little bit at the bottom. Then another thing you want to do, you want to make sure that the grain line is, again, that you keep that grain line, that it's parallel, so when you cut your pattern, you know what's going on. And then also at the bottom, you can also go ahead and make sure that the bottom of your sleeve, right where the cuff is going to go, is also straight. So that is how you do a bicep adjustment. I hope that is useful. So next time that you are looking at a sleeve pattern and you are like me, you have a little extra on your arms, now you know how to do a bicep adjustment. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.